Hey everybody, I'm with Darius from the Westwatcher. Surfish, endless summerish type music he describes as surf lounge chill. How you doing today, Darius?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks for having me, man.
I have to say, when I listen to your music, it gave me I have chills now thinking about it. It reminded me of those old 60s movies, like you said, Endless Summer, and um it's intro and surf-ish, but more a soundtrack to surf movies. Would you agree?
Um, yeah, I can see that. I mean, one of the main inspirations for it, musical inspirations, was that theme to the Endless Summer. I
Yeah.
heard that one day and I thought I'd like to make a record of something where everything was kind of in that vein,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, but that's the musical inspiration side of it. The I mean, I think that actually surfing itself is the more central inspiration for me. I come at, I think, maybe the surf music thing maybe a little differently than most people do, because I did not come at it from being a kind of a super deep surf music aficionado, but more a guy who surfs. And so I took the inspiration kind of straight from the ocean and from some of that surf music that I'm familiar with. But I like the more noir kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
I like it real chill, mellow.
Yeah. So what I want to tell everybody is, before we go any further, the links to Darius's The West Watcher, the links to his Bandcamp page are in the description, and you could go sample his music, hopefully support him by purchasing your own. And under that, you can get some of our merch and check out all the music, surf music resources that hopefully everybody will get in touch with, radio stations, forums. um, Tell me, I think you mentioned on your Bandcamp page you use Gretsch.
um I'm using the two main guitars I'm using are I have a Gretsch 6120. It's the Brian Setzer hot rod model,
Oh yeah.
which is a cool guitar.
Yeah.
And on the first record, that was the guitar I used primarily for everything. On the second record, I got this a Strat that I kind of fell in love with, and so I'm using the Strat a lot, maybe even more than the Gretsch on the second one. There you go. Yeah. Speaking
Oh,
of
look at that.
metal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
all right. So was it 2021, 2022? Blue Groundswell Corduroy came out, and was that a lockdown record?
It really was actually. Yeah. Yeah, and so was the second one, 2022, but it was, I made it over that period right after the other one came out. So they were both kind of lockdown records. Yeah, more so the first one, but they both were in a way.
So the first one is the one I got to listen to, and for a debut, it's quite impressive and quite just quite full. It's got a really full sound. How did you get that sound? Like, how long did it take you to put all those pieces together?
Uh, I recorded that record. Each of them I recorded over probably a year, and I wasn't in a hurry since I make them myself. So, and as you mentioned, it was kind of a lockdown sort of scenario. So I wasn't really in a hurry. I was working on some other stuff at the same time, and so it happened over maybe a period of a year or something like that. You know, and I was, the first one, it took me a little bit of experimenting to arrive at this kind of thing I was looking for. But, during the lockdown, I was by myself. I didn't, normally I would have like perhaps, got some other people involved. But, since I was kind of here all alone, I thought I'll just do it myself. And, that created a kind of freedom, that I loved, not having to depend on anybody else, put on my own bass parts and such.
Yeah. So fast forward to 2022 and the second album. What did you learn from the first album that made the second album better for you or easier to complete?
Good question. I learned that. Sorry, somebody's trying to bug me. I learned that I needed to get a new bass, and that I wanted to have a Stratocaster on some things, and so I got the Strat specifically to make that the second record, because there were just some things that I love the Gretsch guitar that I'd used on the first record, but I was hearing a Strat, so that was one central thing I learned, and then the second record ended up having a more Stratty kind of approach to some of the guitar parts.
Yeah, yeah.
And as far as the actual mechanics of making the record, I used a different kind of drum programming setup on the second record, that I liked a lot better than the first one, and the process, I kind of refined. I've kind of done both of them, where I compose the songs as I'm recording and then just kind of fill them out.
Yeah.
And so the second one was a lot easier once I had figured out, how the actual process of
Yep.
writing these songs and then actually laying down parts.
The workflow.
The workflow got to be a little more was kind of more refined for the second one.
Yeah. That's how you learn, right?
I'm making the third one now, so it's even going. It's gotten a lot smoother even now.
Tell me about that.
This one is probably about halfway there. I've got the drums and the bass done, and the songs are all written, and I'm about to get into the fun part of putting down the guitar parts and keyboards and such. I wrote the songs on this one a little differently. On the first couple, I had this thing in my head about the melodies being. I wanted there to be. I wanted it to be really melodic in a kind of old school sense, and I think that's maybe why you're thinking it sounds kind of filmic or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wanted it to have kind of proper song melodies.
Right.
So, that kind of like songs that could be sung, or memorable melodies. And I was thinking about Antonio Carlos Jobim, the great Brazilian jazz guy, pop jazz guy, and those melodies that he wrote, they're just so kind of lasting and deep. And so I had that in the back of my head. On the new record, I'm kind of cut loose with that a little bit, and I'm letting it be a little bit more kind of, I'm allowing more of some of the songs to are centered around a guitar riff more than having to have this whole complicated melody.
Right. Would you say it's more traditional surf?
No, I don't know about that. It's still the same kind of vibe. I didn't want to lose the vibe of it because
it's really good.
Thanks, man. Well, it's the other thing that's kind of an inspiration for these records is the place that I live. And there's this surfing community here in Encinitas, and specifically Leucadia, a part of Encinitas, and this one surf break that I surf at all the time called Beacons. And there's
your shirt.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Beacons Board Riders Club. My friend Bobby gave me this one.
Nice.
And there's a community and a vibe associated with this place that's kind of really laid back. You know, it's as opposed to a kind of you know, there are some surf breaks, there's a more kind of aggro sort of, like right down the street we have Swami's, a famous surf break, you know,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more younger kind of, you know, kind of guys out there. But
Yeah.
you know, where I surf, it's really chill. And so a lot of the people at, you know, my friends and people in this community have taken a liking to these records too. So I
Oh,
thought,
awesome.
yeah, so I wanted to keep this kind of local vibe in it, you know.
So they're kind of playing it at the gathering then.
Um, I don't, which gathering do you mean?
Well, when you guys are getting together to surf, you know, before you go out in the water, you're listening to music.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, that has happened for sure. Yeah.
and that's pretty amazing for you, right?
Oh, I love that. You know, I love that it's you know, I mean, because that was the audience that I hoped for more than any other. That local surfers were going to kind of feel it the way I have felt it. You
Yeah.
know.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Darius, so much for sharing your time with me. I really, really, really enjoyed your music, and I suggest everybody check out the links in the description to Darius's the Westwatcher Bandcamp page, our merch channel page, the tons of surf music resources. And I really, really hope you check out the Westwatcher because man, it's pretty epic in a filmscape kind of way, and I really appreciate having the chance to listen to it.
Well, I'm happy that you enjoyed it, Ryan. That makes me happy, and I hope you'll check out the second one, Slide the Wide Horizon. It's
Awesome.
called. It kind of goes in the same vibe, and I hope you'll enjoy that one too.
I'm sure I will, man. Thanks so much.
Okay, man. Cheers. Thanks for having me.